know, the title of your book, and, you know, purpose is I love anything that's surrounding purpose, but I was, you know, excited to dig into Own Purpose, which is a leadership guide for emerging leaders, emphasizing observation, humility, discipline, development over authority, right? So, then practical framework, some good stuff in there for leaders across. We're going to get, you know, after that. So before we do that, I want people to know a little bit about you, Quentin. So, give you a couple of minutes here to talk about yourself.
Well, thank you, Todd. First, before I get to talking about myself, I want to be in Columbia Southern for hosting and this beautiful venue at Veterans Growing America. Just thank you for having me and my wife here today. So yeah, me from Miles Road, Somerville, South Carolina.
That's South Carolina. Somerville. What are you talking about?
You know, been a whole lot of places, done a whole lot of things. Super honored and proud. Feeling a little bit vulnerable, right? It took me a minute to put together On Purpose. But I will say this to anyone that's watching that are parents. What you pour into your kids, it matters, right? I am the byproduct of my mom and my dad telling me I could be anything that I wanted to be. I was just crazy enough to believe them, and that's how I ended up here.
No, I appreciate that. A powerful statement you just made there. I truly believe that. So, you know, as we dig into, you know, Own Purpose, you know, why? So what was the moment? Why Own Purpose? Why that title? Why that direction as your first outing as an author?
I'll start by saying this. You know, you and I, we had a sidebar conversation, you know, about the leadership space. I've read a lot of different leadership books, but it's all, you know, that upper echelon, people that have been doing it for a while. I wanted to put together On Purpose, and it took me 12 years to put it together because I needed to live the experience, right? I didn't want to just get out there and just write thoughts. Now, for those that pick up the book, don't think that I've mastered everything in there, right? I definitely haven't, but these are just observations that I picked up over the years and different experiences. The target audience is those individuals that have never led before, right? Those individuals that are just stepping into leadership for the first time. I use the example, you're a line cook and now you're about to be a shift supervisor, right? Where do you start? Where do you start? You don't just get to show up and say, hey, I'm the boss now, do what I say. You know, I wrote it, I kept it short and simple. One of my daughters was the editor. It was longer and she told me, Daddy, people aren't gonna read that, right? You know,
Good kid.
Yes, good kid. But you know, I wanted to meet emerging leaders and people that aspire to lead where they are, right? And give them something that is not gonna give you the answers, but some of those hard lessons that we all have learned growing to become the leaders that we are, how can we shortcut that? You can't make up for experience, but like, let's give individuals context.
Yeah, you said something there. You can't make up for experience. How critical is experience?
Oh, experience is everything, right? You know, someone can give you a playbook and it's very detailed, but if you don't have experience and you haven't like got those bumps and bruises and, you know, fell down and got back up, you can't, like, some things you just have to go through.
Yeah, I think timing is very important. Time and experience in these things, you know. I think you could probably look back and if I ask you a question, could you write this book 15 years ago with the same impact today?
Absolutely not.
Right, and I heard you talk about being a line cook and now you're the shift supervisor. You know, so you go into talking about this philosophy of the 3 L's. You know, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm super proud of, and that's not just for emerging leaders. That's for leaders across the board, right? Look longer, listen harder, and learn continuously, right? Just give yourself a chance to just stop and just look longer. You're going to see things that you probably would not have seen if you were just, oh, hey, listen. When I say listen harder, like, don't just listen to what someone's saying. Listen to what they're not saying. Listen to how they're saying, and learn. Man, you got to learn continuously. You can't just. There's no destination when it comes to education, experience, just life in general, right? You got to learn each and every day.
What's the best environment for you for that? What's the best environment for you You know, everybody, so not to get too detailed in everybody's life in here, but, you know, my best ideas come from two places. The shower and the cigar bar.
Okay.
Two completely way opposite sides of the spectrum there, but I know, but the two places that the greatest ideas come from for me is shower, cigar bar.
For
What
me,
about you?
the two places are after I've experienced, you know, something just super traumatic at work, right? You know, you gotta break some bad news to someone, you gotta, you know, talk about some things that to your core, it bothers you, right? So I'm a very reflective thinker. So that's one space, going through hard times. The other space is, you know, I have this group text with my business partners, Thomas Wigington and Robert Rivers. We're building, we're starting from the ground up, building our own business, right? So, and we spitball all kind of ideas, and it's always encouraging. And then it's, you know, it's one of those, we have those moments when like, no, that ain't it, right? So just being in that space and just having someone else that you can bounce those ideas off of.
Yeah, who are you in the group?
That's a good question. I think, yeah, I think I am the one in the group that is, you know, we were texting about it last night. We all came together for a different reason. For me, you know, I want to get out there and do something. Like, this is my first time as an adult, right? Because I worked before joining the military, but as an adult, building something with my bare hands, right?
Okay.
We talk about writing books and leaving that legacy. You mentioned earlier that these books, these words that we share with individuals, they're going to be here for 1,000 years, right? You know, this business that we're building, man, I hope it outlives all of us. So I think I might be the driver, the ambitious one, like, hey, let's get out there and let's get it. So I'll say that that's the role that I play. Like, hey, let's really go and do this.
Awesome. So, you know, On Purpose talked about a lot of great things. I love the 3 L's. So what do you think the biggest mistake first-time leaders make?
Thinking that they arrived.
Man, yes, that's super cool.
Oh yeah. Obviously, because we've seen it time and time again, right? Hey, you're the manager, you're the leader, you're this, whatever the title is, and then you walk in the first day and then you think, hey, you got to do what I say. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. I talk about it in On Purpose. You know, you're only going to be as good as the team that you're surrounded by. You got to do that by earning their trust, respect, and loyalty. You got to do it with your energy, your attitude, being real, your authentic self, because you can't fake who you are in today's world. Social media, it will not let you live. And then the most important part, taking the time to notice. Noticing those things, right? Because everyone isn't going to be motivated the same way. Some people, they like the awards. Some people like, you know, a text message. Some people just like for you to make eye contact with them and let them know, like, hey, I see you and thank you.
Yeah. Connect listening to purpose for me. And why is listening so people say listening is not underrated, but I believe that when people say, man, it's such an important skill, the first question I ask people who say, all the time, you need to listen first. I think, well, do you listen? Yeah. It's something that's so critical, but you have to be actively engaged, actively listening. It's not just something about hearing, like, oh, I heard what you said. You know, you have to really take the time when you started the conversation, but it's that time and that reflective moment. So, you know, why is listening really underrated? Like, people say it, but it's not really like taken seriously sometimes.
Because I think people don't understand the power of listening, right? When we take the time to actually listen to someone, that's actually seeing them. That's more than just hearing them. You know, like, that's how you express that you care to someone, by actually taking the time to listen.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I forgot. I was about to say a quote, but it was about to be so wrong, so I wanted to say it. I was like, I know in my brain, I know what it said. Like, somebody, squint with your ears or something, or something. Anybody know that quote? Okay, totally wrong quote.
Listen with your eyes and look with your ears.
Well, and speaking of, quotes, because one of the things that you did mention in your book, and I just want you to kind of key us in on that before we wrap up. The student always goes further than the know-it-all. Again, the student always goes further than the know-it-all. What do you mean by that? Talk to us like that.
Learning continuously, right? If you approach any situation in life, and it's not just leadership, it's not just work. If you lead with humility, right? And you go in and you say, hey, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Being humble enough to go to someone that is the expert or someone that may know, that's going to get you a whole lot further than like, hey, oh, I got this, right? A lot of times we were taught fake it until you make it. Worst advice ever. Worst advice ever.
I'm gonna give you a pound on that, man.
Yeah.
Because if you said that's the best advice ever, I probably would have walked out of it and went to Wegmans and got it.
Yeah, that's great that you recognize that, because even as senior leaders, we have to have the humility to, ask questions and, if we don't know something, have the humility to admit that.
Yeah.
A lot of times as senior leaders, we learn from the younger individuals, so
Yes.
I'm sure that you're still doing
Oh,
that
yeah.
now in uniform,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's awesome. All right, well, on purpose, where can we find your book? Where can we buy it? How can we connect with you?
You can connect with me at my website, QuentinDavis1.com. That's QUENTIN Davis1.com. You can also connect with me through our company's website, QTRFoundry.com. You can find On Purpose at Amazon, Books A Million, any place that you go to purchase books. Yeah.
Perfect. We'll be purchasing some books today
Thank
from
you.
you. So we appreciate you. Everybody, Mr. Quentin Davis. All right. So we are moving right into Miss Yolanda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And then, yes, just, give us a lesson. Figure out.
Are you from Somerville too?
No. Can you put them in that
Okay.
back room?
Okay.
And then we'll be in touch on how.
My family's from Somerville.
Oh, okay.
I'll move it for
I
you.
love the title. It just sounds strong.
You know Manny was?
Always been loud.
I realize that this is a very Army heavy room here.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yes, you gotta, yeah.
I used to spend summers.
You're gonna be here the whole time.
So I used to spend summers.
Hold on, you can
Charleston.
Okay.
Somerville.
Wait.
My aunt and life. Lots of time. It was very country, but it was very.
All right, welcome.
Wait, he gotta get his shine. He getting his shine together.
Powder in my nose.
He getting his shine up.
Got me all up. Get the eyebrow.
Alright, you get it.
All right, we are here for CSU, Columbia Southern University's Military Author Takeover, right here at VGA, Veterans Growing America. And we are so excited to have with us today Miss Yolanda Tate. Everybody, please give it up. We are excited. So let me just start. So I'm super excited to have this time with you. Leadership, wellness, AI, entrepreneurship, and military experience don't often appear in the same sentence. However, our next author, Yolanda, is going to tell us why they should. And so we are excited to hear from you, but before we get into all the things evolving around command, who is Yolanda? Tell people who Yolanda Tate is.
People who know me know that I have always been outgoing. I'm loud. I am exactly where I'm from. I'm from Philly, born and raised.
Come on now,
I'm
Philly.
from South Philly. Graduated from Germantown. I see somebody looking like they may know. Graduated from Martin Luther King High School. And so green has always been my color because I bleed green. Because if you're born and raised from Philly, you are Eagles fan.
Yeah.
And so you know that. That's all that we do. And so growing up, though, I was always the strong one in my family. And so everybody would put a lot on me. So I had a lot of responsibility. And at 10 years old, when my grandmother passed away, my aunts and my uncles and my mom took it really bad. And everybody came to me. I'm only 10 years old. And I'm hearing all of this from my aunts and uncles and all that. And that's when I knew that leadership was part of something that was in me, and that it was important, and that I was gonna grow to be a leader of something. I didn't understand what, but I knew that leadership was always in me. And so that's where Yolanda, where I come from, I've always been a leader. I've always been the strong one, But I say that not to brag. I say that because it also caused a lot of pain and a lot of pressure behind it. And so that's where Command is birthed from.
That's amazing. So Yolanda presents AI Wellness Command Method, but it's showing women, veterans, and entrepreneurs how to use AI strategically. And so why write this book now, though? Why now?
So I'm gonna say, first of all, why not? We in the age of AI. Everybody uses AI. You have your phone, so you're using AI right now on your phone. We're being recorded right now. Is AI behind all of that? And so we have to learn how to not just use it strategically, but the first thing is that people think that AI is gonna take your job away from you. Well, yes, it is gonna be some jobs that will go away because of AI, but we have to learn how to not be afraid of it and learn how to use it and how to use it as a tool. It does not take away you as a human being. And so I like to say, be the human in command, but don't let the tech be in command of you. And so that's why I wrote that book. And it's not just about AI and tech, but it's about capacity too. Because us as leaders, especially everybody's been talking about high performing leaders and all of this. We normally think that the more that we carry or the more that we do makes us better, makes us successful, and it really does. Not successful if you do not have peace along with it, or you abandon yourself, you are not successful. Because I've learned, like, being productive doesn't always mean that you're doing everything right. And being productive, people think that you're efficient when you're productive, but really you're not. And so a lot of times when you think to be efficient, you think that, okay, I'm doing everything right, I'm doing everything good. But when it comes down to it, most high performers are proficient, they're efficient, but they're exhausted. They're tired, they're burnt out. They think that they're in line with stuff, and they're really misaligned. And so that's what Command is birthed after. That's why I wrote this book now. It's a framework, which we'll get into, but yeah, we need this. We have to know how to take command of ourselves, not allow people to take command of us in our time and our energy.
That's a powerful message, and I will just say, because I know I've seen you here at VGA, I've seen you online, I've seen you on podcasts, you are doing amazing work. So I would consider you successful. But what to you, when did you realize that success was not that?
Oh, I have to go back. I talk about this in the beginning of the book, and this is really when I found out I wasn't really successful. Being honest. Being a command sergeant major in the United States Army, did a lot of great things, made it up to division level command sergeant major, and a lot of females don't have that opportunity to do that. So I've been blessed in that kind of way. But back in 2011, my son graduated from high school right here in Stafford, Virginia. And I had been deployed. I was stationed at Fort Carson. At that time, I had a battalion, and I was in 4ID. And, in 2nd ID. And so I got back here, went to his graduation, and my son was so happy that his mom was finally there. Because I was deployed. I hadn't seen my son in like almost a year. In person, seen him in almost a year. And so when I got there, I surprised him. He came and grabbed me, and he was like, "This my mom, everybody, this my mom. She made it, she made it." Them 3 words, "she made it," hit me so darn hard like a ton of bricks. Because I was like, oh my God, I'm here. Yes, I made it. I got the accolades. I'm the sergeant major. I'm doing all these things. But I'm not the mom. I done missed all of my son's, basically all his high school years, because I was putting career first. And I just thinking about it now, a lot of women veterans, we go through this, and I call it the invisible tax. That we give up so much and we sacrifice so much for our careers, and we think we're doing it to be more successful, but at what cost? And so I had to think about it. I was like, yeah, I did make it, but I didn't make it the way that I wanted to make it.
Was that a moment where you realized that maybe it's time to transition just because of that fuel that you got? Because, mom guilt is real, right?
Mhm.
So,
So I'm gonna be honest, no. Because that was 2011. I I didn't retire until 2018. And that's because, you know, as women, we feel like we had that responsibility. Yes, I was married, my husband was doing a lot of great things, but I felt like I had a responsibility to my family financially, just to make sure that we could still live the way that we were living. Let's be honest about it. I mean, a lot of times we don't want to give up things because we now live at a certain way that if you give it up, not just you suffering, but a whole lot of other people will suffer along with it. Like my mom, my uncles, I'm still providing for other people in my family as well. And so I had to continue to go on until 2018 when I actually retired. But I will say success to me, you can't be successful and then allow it to come at a cost. Success doesn't mean that you have a lot of money. Success doesn't mean that you have it all together. Success is understanding that you still have peace in the things that you do and how you want to live in life.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna take it a different angle now, because I wanna talk about the entrepreneurs that you refer to in the book. And so for the entrepreneur, how do they need to start thinking about AI?
So first thing, AI. I tell everybody, it's not a magic button. You ain't gonna press something and all your troubles and worries gonna be over, or it's gonna give you the answers to everything. No. You can't be afraid of it either, because it's here and it's not going anywhere. It's been here. But what I do tell you to do is just to learn just the basic stuff. You'll be surprised how far along you will be just knowing basic stuff, because a lot of people don't know. Yes, you can learn about all the advanced stuff like building agents and all that. That comes later down the road. First, just know how to use it. And the first place to go is simple, ChatGPT. Everybody knows ChatGPT because it's the first one that was on the market when you talk about OpenAI, so everybody know what chat is. Open it up, don't just ask questions. You can actually talk to your AI tool like a regular person and just say, hey, I'm new to this AI, I don't know nothing about it. Tell me what you can provide for me, because I know you can do more than just answer questions. And trust me, that AI tool will come back and tell you all kinds of stuff. So, yeah.
No, I appreciate you explaining that, because there are individuals, even my kids don't wanna use it, you know? That's an important point to make.
It's an interesting phenomenon that, like, we're jumping into AI
Yeah.
in our generation, but my 20-something-year-old daughters will not use ChatGPT,
Okay, yeah.
which is almost like a reverse kind of understanding of word technology. I mean, it's just, you know, so it's just so, but hey, I would say I'm an entrepreneur and I use it every day.
Every day.
And it
Yes.
it has changed my entire business over the 7 years we've been in business. The last 2 years, it has completely changed our business. And I equate it to, just to stay on that line, when I talk about AI, I tell people, remember, you know, late 80s, early 90s, and people weren't really into computer age.
Yeah.
You know, and my mom is 82 years old. And my mom, the only technology she uses is the iPad I bought her, and she's on Facebook, and she types in all caps, and all her grandkids absolutely cannot stand it. You know, like, but that's her, but you gotta think that my mom at 82, in the 90s when computers were coming on age, she was so far behind, and she didn't really engage, so, you know, I don't know how my mom really didn't get in. But I think AI is moving probably 10x faster than what the computer age is. In the last year alone, just the capability of free chat, ChatGPT. I mean, not even the paid
Yes.
version. You know, it's just absolutely mind-boggling how far it's gone. So I know you focus a lot on women entrepreneurship, and I love that. I follow you and see the things that you're doing. And I always tell people, I think entrepreneurship is just an amazing opportunity, not only for veterans, you know, community-wise. You know, I'm affiliated with a program now that I'm going to this year in Morehouse, where they're, you know, talking about, you know, entrepreneurship as a vehicle for uplifting communities. And, you know, what advice would you give women, veteran entering business? There's a lot. And I was talking to Quentin and his partner who just left. They're both getting out of the Air Force soon, and they're both becoming entrepreneurs. And I think that's really something you see probably when we probably were younger in the military. You didn't see a lot of, especially nines, and so you didn't see a lot of people getting out, becoming entrepreneurs. people got out and got a job. But it is very, it's a lot of people. So in your sector, you know, coaching and mentoring and training women entrepreneurs, like, you know, what would you give, there's a couple of women potential entrepreneurs in this room who are maybe, who's still serving and are about, what would you give them, what advice would you give them in, like, that's a long question, I know. But what advice would you give them that would, you know, would make them feel a little bit more at ease about entering that space?
So I'm gonna give 3 things. First thing is this: don't underestimate the experience that you got from your military service. Lean into it, leverage it. You got leadership, you got discipline, you got teamwork, you got accountability, you got all these different things that a lot of people do not understand or do not operate at the level that you operate at. So leverage those things when you're starting your business. The next thing is, don't have a mission mindset that you allow it to self-sabotage you or use self-abandonment against yourself. And what I mean by that is you can get so mission-driven about running this business that this business becomes another battlefield for you. And when I say it's another battlefield, it's because you putting that business above everything else, like I was talking about being successful, that you forget to take care of yourself and do the things that really matters, like being a part of, you know, taking care of your family, spending time with your family, doing the things that's gonna leave a legacy for you. So don't let that business take over you. And then the last thing is, don't chase after shiny things. Because when you start a business, the first thing you wanna do, go and get a website, go and spend all this money on all this stuff, and you have not yet built a community. You have not yet became visible that people even know who you are, that like, that know, that trust. You gotta establish all of that first before you even think about being an entrepreneur and actually getting out there and buying all these shiny tools. I'm telling you this from experience, don't do that. Find your community. Be a part of groups like this at Veterans Going America, where they're gonna give you the actual tools, the knowledge, the resources, the community to help you. You need the platform. You need relationships. So as an entrepreneur, know that you can't do it by yourself. You have to have community.
Well said,
Well
Yolanda. We
said.
thank you so much.
And I'll tell you, that is probably if there's, we can stop right there.
Yes.
Because I think that is, I mean, we're not, but that is so powerful because
We are.
it's hard to tell mission-driven people that. It's hard to tell mission-driven people to slow down.
Yes.
It's hard to tell mission-driven people who want to go out and be successful, because that's the way we have been built and wired, that there's steps to this game.
Yes.
And sometimes that can be taken as a negative comment versus a positive. So how do you navigate that when you're giving those strong 3 that you just gave to someone and they're looking at you like, well, you don't know me, you may be holding you back?
So, again, everything is based on relationships.
Yes.
And so I tell people, if you don't have that support behind you, or it's going to be hard.
Yes.
And so you have to find that team. You gotta find your tribe. You gotta find your community. Trust me, I've been a part of a lot of business communities, a lot of groups, and we all know everybody wanna call themselves a coach. Everybody wanna get your money, everybody wanna be a coach, all that great stuff. But you gotta find the people that you actually resonate with, the people that you can trust, the people that you know that you can call upon, and that, you know, they're gonna be there for you. Even if you're not in a room with them, that they're still gonna be their champion for you. It is some people I know in this room right now, like Donnell and them. I don't even have to be in a room with them, but they're already singing my praises. They always talking about me. They're letting people know how I can help them in some kind of way, especially when it comes to AI. And I don't have to be there. They're not trying to tear you down or anything like that. And so that's why it's important to find the right people to be behind your corner, to be with you, and finding that community. And when you find that community, then that makes it a whole lot easier to be an entrepreneur.
Well, it's like a poetry contest. What do they do? I want to do the snap. No, that is so true. And like, you know, Danielle, he was talking about earlier how we met, but we met because I was, and I attend a lot of conferences, I tell, and stuff, I try to connect with people. There was a mutual, someone I didn't even know that introduced me to someone who we had a conversation, said, no, you need to meet him. And I always tell people, I call it the concept of being top of mind.
Yes.
Like, if you're not top of someone's mind, then what, how do you grow that trust and relationship? That every time I'm out somewhere, I'm shopping in the grocery store and I see something, oh, you need to contact Yolanda, you need to do, that's the community that you were talking about that I think is so strong when we are all top of mind of each other. It's one thing about knowing someone, it's even one thing about liking someone.
Yes.
But it's a different whole mechanism you're talking about, like that level of connective tissue in the entrepreneur space. So I appreciate you growing that.
Definitely.
So transitioning back into your AI tools. So you gave us a tool, and I think everybody knows chat.
Yeah.
What tool can you give us it's like something new, because I'm like a nerd on that. Give me something new that you think everyone is that you've been you found recently, like, man, I found this new AI tool that I think is pretty cool.
Okay, so a tool that I use for all of my presentations, whenever I'm doing slide presentations, talking to anyone, is Manus. Manus was actually bought by Meta. But they're actually moving away from Meta now. It's a whole big story behind that. But Manus, you can do some incredible presentations with it. It also has some wonderful skills where you can build some great agents with it as well. So Manus is one of those ones. But the thing about Manus, it does take a lot of credits. And so if you're not using it regularly, I don't recommend that to someone that's not really doing advanced stuff. So Manus is one of them. The other thing that is big now is Claude Co-work. You get Co-work on your desktop only. And so when you're using Co-work is like your own executive assistant. It does everything for you. You give it a task, it will do everything from start to finish. It will organize everything, put it in folders, keep it for you, and it will build almost anything that you want. So Claude Co-work is something I tell everyone to use. You use it from the desktop version. Lastly, if you're building agents, Claude does all of that, but I'm not even agents. I'm going to talk about this because everybody got Gmail. One of the best things that you can use, the Google Workspace suite stuff. So not just Google Gemini, but you also can get like free video tools like Flow, like Whisk, like Notebook LM is amazing if you never use Notebook LM to organize different things. And all of this stuff is free under Google that people don't know about and don't use. So I always say use the free if you can use the free.
Absolutely.
But look into all of that. It's so many other ones I could talk about AI all day.
No,
so,
I appreciate that, because I wrote down all three that I don't use.
Yeah.
Two that I haven't heard of. So, it's about giving tools and different things to people. So, no, I appreciate it. And we're
But
going to
can-
talk later.
But can I say something about the tools? The tools are important, but what's even more important is having clarity.
Yeah,
Because you can't use a tool if you don't have clarity about it.
yeah.
Because junk in is junk out.
Right.
If you do not use it intentional and know what you're using it for, and a lot of people like all the shiny things, like what you see on social media and all that. It's far much more that you need to be looking at using AI for, to actually solve complex problems. And especially as an entrepreneur, it's not just about social media. People get stuck on that pretty shiny stuff, but it can actually help you even more to actually get a return on your investment. So you gotta use it strategically.
So speaking of getting to know more, if you want to know more about this space, then how can we contact you? Like, how can we buy the book?
Yeah, so you can buy the book on Amazon. You can buy it right here at Veterans Growing America. Of course, it is actually at Barnes & Noble, all of the great places you can buy it from. But you can also go on my website, which is elevate-2-ai.com. You can get it from there. And also, I tell everybody, follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Yolanda M. Tate. 123 on LinkedIn. I do a lot of great articles, posts, and everything about AI as well. So, yes.
And your course.
And A reminder, I am starting a course here at VGA. It actually starts this Wednesday, July 15th. It's a 4-week cohort. It is Command Your AI Workforce. We're gonna be working hands-on on a computer, building super agents that will work as our teammates for our businesses. And so I'm excited about that, and it's gonna be a great time, 4 weeks. Right now it's in person, but we're going to do a hybrid event because we had a lot of people that inquired about doing it, but they want to be able to do it virtually.
I was just about to ask, how did I sign up
Yes.
virtually?
Yes.
Everybody, Yolanda Tate.
Thank y'all, I appreciate it. That was good. All right, next.
Yep, come on down.
We trying to.
Oh,
Wanda, and then Mataya.
Y'all better.
And then Carmen.
Say it again, say it again. Say it again, Stephanie.
Yes, the water bottle there.
I'll grab it for you. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna ask you.
Did I start the last one?
Yes.
You wanna start? Did I start the last one? Someone had, oh, you did? You started. You can know. I come in best on the second half.
Oh, sorry. Just one more thing. Sorry.
Suzanne got us at lights and.
Yeah.
What happened to your health, Suzanne?
He left. When you get 20, they can decide.
That's what the kids think. Like, yeah, Mom, I got 2
You got me for 15 minutes, sis. You're on.
All right, we are here today at the Veterans Growing America building where CSU is sponsoring a military author takeover. And so we are excited to have with us today Miss Wanda Grayson. Everybody, please give her a round of applause. Thank you for joining us, and she is going to be talking about her book that's entitled The Caregiver Advocacy Guide. And so with this particular book, most people don't know how to navigate the healthcare system. And so, until they're forced to do so. And so this is what she's gonna be talking to us about. This guide aims to change that, to educate individuals of how to navigate the healthcare system, knowing what you have available to you. And so that's what we're gonna talk about on today. But before we do that, who is Wanda? Talk to us, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wanda Grayson. I'm from South Carolina.
From South Carolina.
Best people, the best people are.
I'm a mother of one. My son is 29. Grew up on essentially not a farm, but it was a farm. We had a lot of land, and that's important because it actually comes up in the book. But essentially grew up on organic food before we knew what organic food was, because my father grew everything that we ate except the meats, to include the fruits, all the vegetables. You know, we were talking about it the other day. Right, we had sugarcane stalks, we had lettuce, we had cabbage, we had the different color watermelons. You know, there's a yellow and a red. There it is. Yeah, we had scaponines, we had strawberries. I was telling somebody the other day, I used to, with this huge pear tree in our backyard, and the pears would be about this big, and this is, 1984, 1985, and I just happened to take one to school one day, and I was sharing it with some people, and I ended up selling the pears to get my money. So my dad was like, "Mom, why don't you ask for money anymore?" I was like, "I gotta hustle." So I would just go outside, get the pears, I would take my orders, get the pears.
Early entrepreneur.
Early entrepreneur.
All right. Well, with this particular book, it's really a practical guide helping caregivers navigate hospital discharge planning. Medicare and Medicaid, different gaps, advocacy, medical directives and crisis preparation before something critical, or for families that are facing something critical with their family member. So tell us what inspired this guy? Like, there you were, and then.
There I was, getting dressed to do nothing, because I'm retired, and I got a text from my brother that said the ambulance is at the house. You need to call and see what's happening in South Carolina. He had cameras on the house, and so he wasn't home, but he could see what was happening. So I called my sister, and I said, okay, what's going on? And she said, well, I think Mama's having a stroke, but I'll call you back. So as it turned out, my mother had a massive stroke, that 81, left her paralyzed on her left side. And for all the teach you, for all the things that our education teaches you, because I feel like I'm a fairly intelligent person. I've got several degrees, graduated with honors, worked in the military for 9 years, Army, of course. 26 years in the federal government, 14 of the 26 was spent as a GS-15. Didn't want to go SES because I wanted to be a mom. So I did that when my son was in the 8th grade, or the 6th grade, and so between the 6th grade and college, that was 11 years that I could just be mom. And so by the time SES came about, I was like, I'm 3 years from retirement, I'm not doing that. But, so for all the responsibilities I've held and I had, my mother having a stroke was probably the most educational thing that happened in my life. Because for all that we live in this DMV and we work to acquire and all this wealth that we are building and trying to leave to our kids, where the farm that I grew up on comes into play, is that I realized in the middle of my crisis that in order for my mother to get help from the Medicaid system, we either had to sell everything, or if we didn't sell it, my brother and my sister and I would ended up having to buy back land that we already own outright. Because my mother, that's how Medicaid works, if they help you in the long-term care system, once you turn 55, in New York, it's anything they do for you, but most states, once you turn 55, if they provide any long-term care for you, when you die, your estate has to pay it back. So I couldn't quite fathom, in the middle of me grieving, the state of South Carolina was really gonna send me a bill. In the middle of me grieving, a system that I've been paying into my entire professional life. And it was my father, my mother, and I had 4 siblings, so it's 7 of us. And 2 of my brothers are deceased, and my father's deceased, and now my mother's deceased. But at the time, I was like, so 7 people have paid into a system, and because one of us needs help, 3 of them won't ever ask for help. Because one of us needs help, 3 of us gotta pay a bill to own something we already own. So we gotta buy the same land twice. And my brother looked at me and said, you have to do something with this. You got a platform. You need to use it and tell people. And I'm looking at him thinking, I don't have a platform. I'm going through the same crisis you're going through. But I left home 40 years ago, my military career. And so when I went back home to care for my mother, I spent 40 days in the hospital somewhere, sleeping between a chair and a couch because I slept where she slept. And my routine was to get up every morning and wash her face with a warm cloth. And my mother looked at me quietly and said, you like helping people, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. And that was all she said. And so in the midst of that, I just felt like between my brother telling me I gotta tell people and my mother letting me know that she recognized that my calling was to help people, I wrote the book because all I could think to myself was, people can't know this. There's no way I didn't know that if my mom got sick, I ultimately would get a bill.
Yeah. So do you think that's what surprises families the most, or is there something else that you would say surprises individuals the most when it comes to this type of crisis?
Most people don't know this. You don't know the middle of it. I saw the reaction, I heard the groans when I said what my story was. people don't know this. You don't know that what most of the things in the healthcare system mean, because we think we're outdated. Our knowledge is so antiquated. Some of the conversations we were having, in terms of surprises, there were all kinds of surprises. For instance, terminology is very different. You know, again, for all my degrees, if somebody said to me medically stable, and I'm like, my mother just had a major stroke, and you said she's medically stable, and then I got excited, because I'm like, okay, but medically stable does not mean stable. It just means you no longer need the acute level of care that the hospital gives you. Doesn't mean healed. It doesn't mean ready to really be at home, but it does mean you're going.
Yes.
And so surprises, like I shared on the call, I wrote this in a night because I couldn't sleep. I hadn't slept in 3 days. My mind was so overloaded with information just from dealing with the hospital and the emotions and my mom and trying to figure it out. I couldn't even hear anymore. I couldn't process not another word. And so just one night in my hotel, I was like, I gotta get this out. So I just started writing. But what this is not my story. I moved beyond the story. It was all the confusion that I was living. It's a dictionary, because there's a chapter in here on medical terminology. It's a chapter on what questions to ask. It's a chapter on here's what the systems are that you deal with. If the nurse or the doctor says this, here's the system that activates. It's a guide on understanding what an advanced medical directive does. Even if you don't officially get it notarized, you can at least go through it with your loved one, because that was some of our challenge. You know, where we're outdated is my mother had a feeding tube, which is temporary. And my sister immediately looked at me and said, Mama said she don't want to live on a tube. And so I had to ask, did she mean feeding tube or breathing tube? Because those are the things we don't stop to clarify. We don't stop to think to clarify that. So we got past the feeding tube, and then it was, you know, when we think about, you know, Mama has a DNR, she doesn't want to be resuscitated. And I'm looking at my sister and I'm like, okay, but she had a massive stroke and her vitals have been good ever since. There's nothing wrong with her heart rate. There's nothing wrong with her oxygen. There's nothing wrong with her vitals. So the DNR only works if her heart stops. So then it was, well, my brother was like, I don't like seeing her like this. I want to make sure she's not on life support. Well, when we think about life support, most people think about life support as a machine. Our life support came in an IV bag. So we're so outdated, and because we won't communicate with each other, because especially in the Black culture, we're so afraid that if we have a conversation about that talks about mortality, then somebody's going to become mortal. Well, at the end of the day, you don't have to talk about mortality for somebody to have a fatality. I mean, my mother had a stroke and lived. So we were dealing with this crisis in the middle of her fighting to recover. So the surprise that I think most people find is that we don't know anything about the new healthcare system that we're paying into. That's those of us that are trying to not live on the system because it wasn't designed to help us.
So what would you say to the families that say, well, you know, my parents are healthy, or my, you know, the folks that I'm, you know, maybe responsible for, you know, everything's all good, you know, everything's a perfect world right now. What would you say that they need to educate?
At first, that's a lie you need to stop telling yourself. My mother was healthy. My mother asked my niece, bring me some orange juice. That was a 5-minute, whatever my niece was doing, she went to the kitchen, she came back with the orange juice and looked at my mom and said, Granny, you don't look right. 5 minutes. My sister said, well, it can't be a stroke because I just talked to her an hour ago. So the misnomer is that they're healthy until they're not. And that's the problem. We need to stop waiting until they're not shows up. Because when I when I tell you, I'm standing in the middle of the hospital and I'm looking at the lady and every day I tell myself, there's no way today is gonna be worse than yesterday. And every day was worse than yesterday, to the point to where I just couldn't process any more information. Right down to the best surprise, the best kept secret in the medical system is CFR 42, section 482.43. That is the law that governs hospital discharges, that none of us knows exist, that nurses don't even know exist, because I ended up telling the caseworker supervisor and the head nurse about it. When they tried to discharge my mother with a 24-hour notice. Now, they got us like that twice. The first time the call came, I'm like, ma'am, you called the wrong door. I'm standing in Virginia. My mother's in South Carolina. The lady said, well, I called the person that I called everybody and you answered the phone. So all I'm telling you is that your mom is being discharged tomorrow and somebody needs to be there to receive her and the equipment. Okay. Well, I'm calling my sister and my brother and my nieces and I'm like, this is the call I got. I don't know what to do with this. But that was the first time. But when you're in the middle of your crisis, you are so overloaded that you can't process. And for the blessings of the career that I've had, where I've been in senior level positions and I've done great things in my career, I couldn't think my way through that crisis to save my soul because I had no capacity. But as God would have it, I had to come home for something. And he laid me on my back for 3 weeks with bronchitis. I don't even know how I caught bronchitis, but I couldn't get out of bed for 3 weeks. But it was in that level of clarity that I just started looking and researching and doing what I did. And I found CFR 42, section 482.43. So the next time I got notification from the hospital that says, well, your mom's gonna be discharged tomorrow, I simply wrote an email that said, I'm not opposed to the discharge and I'm ready for that. But here are the 19 things I need in place before she goes home tomorrow.
Woo!
That email is also in that book as your template. Because what turned into going home tomorrow occurred 7 days later. And when I had the conversation with the head nurse and the case manager, supervisor, I had to ask them, why exactly are we having this meeting? What did I ask you for that my mother and my family is not legally entitled to? And the answer was nothing. I knew what they didn't know. And so at this point, like I told them, well, now that I'm offended, can y'all go ahead and just get my mom prepped and can we just go ahead and take her home, but under the right conditions? And this is why it's called the Caregiver Advocacy Guide. Because you have to advocate from a place that you probably never thought you were gonna have to advocate from. First stop and think, because the one thing I wasn't worried about, I didn't need Medicare, I didn't know anything about Medicare, I'm not eligible for Medicare, I still got 6 years before I get to Medicare. It never dawned on me that my mother was on Medicare. And I needed to understand that system for no other reason to advocate for her. So in the midst of my crisis, and I do a segment on Black Fredericksburg Radio called Before the Crisis, and that segment was born from my crisis, because I don't want any other family to go through what we were going through during our crisis.
No, that's, I'm telling you, I'm over here like, I mean, I think everybody can relate to that as parents age. And another thing, even, it doesn't have to be Asian parents.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's another thing, because I feel like, I have a first cousin who's, been in long-term care. He's in his 30s for the last 10 years because of, and his mom, my aunt passed away. So, he's, but, when I was thinking about with your story, I'm probably going, like, send every family member that. Like, we've been, my family has been in the same situation for the last 2 years now. My mom was 80 years old, has never been in the hospital her whole life. Like, drives every day, lives by herself, walked out the bed, stumbled on the sheet, and cracked her skull. And the last 2 years of my sister and I trying to understand how to take care of her with the hospital, the same thing. She got I live in Maryland. They call call one day, like they're sitting at home. And we have to, I mean, so everything you were saying was so resonated to a point that, and I still don't know a lot. And like you said, and you know, I'm from South Carolina, a small town, and a lot of my family's looking to me in Maryland to be the you have to know more than us. And I'm like, I'm a TRICARE baby. You know, I've been on TRICARE for 30 years. The military has taught us not to ask a lot of questions. You show up and you get care and go home. And which really changed my mentality of, I can't be that. So back to the previous author, AI has been a lot of my friend lately, looking up different terminology, looking up things, looking up rights of, you know, when they cut off her physical therapy when she still needed it. So what you're doing is so needed. And you know, we thought my mom was, we joked about it. She's 80, she's around here doing her thing. We never thought about when she is not doing those things.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I resonated so much with me what you were saying. I wanted to acknowledge that because, you know, that last question we have here is like, you know, what do you believe gives families the most hope with understanding this topic? Like, where's that, you know, what is your goal in giving families by passing this very personal thing on to them?
And when you answer that, also tell us where we can find this,
Yes.
your book, and purchase it, because my dad is one of those that I feel like is in good health until he won't. And so, as you answer that question, tell us how we can find you and your book.
So, preparation is key. And I can say communicate, but you have to communicate for real. That's talking about all the emotional things. Who is supposed to, if you can't speak for yourself? Who has the authority to make the decisions? Who is the right person to make the decision? Because proximity does not make you the best person. It truly has to be somebody that's strong enough to process all of the emotions that's dealing with the situation of the family member, as well as the emotions of the person that you can't even help or just try to work through whatever they're dealing with. Because when I tell you probably the greatest lesson I learned in this, you cannot rise to the demands of a crisis. You simply fall to your level of preparation. And if you are not prepared, then you are investigating, searching, falling apart, trying to hold other people up and trying to love somebody through something at the same time. And it's taxing. It will take you out. You can't hear. You don't know what to ask. You don't think to ask about the simplest of things. And that's so important because one Band-Aid almost cost us $2,000 a month. One Band-Aid. One style of Band-Aid, because we didn't know to ask when my mother goes home, how does Medicare provide supplies? Who provides the supplies for her? We didn't think to ask something that simple. So, and again, all of that is in this guide.
Tell us where to get it.
You can find it on my website, wandagrayson.com. It's on Amazon as well. And you can find me at Grayson Financials on Instagram.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Wanda.
Do you have any copies for sale?
I do have copies. It's not this one, but it is that one over there, because, and the reason, even I published that the day my mother died. So that was published from a place of pain, and I just needed to get it out. But this is me remembering the gift that she put on my heart. So this is what it will look like if you order off of Amazon, but you're welcome to get it. It's the same
I'm
information.
sending my sister and my brother and
I'm
everybody
sitting there with my
that.
dad.
And that one thing you said about proximity and who should be making, it estrains sister-brother relationships.
So I'm trying to tell everybody.
It has definitely strained my sibling relationship right now. She's gonna charge real quick.
Okay.
Mr. Oates.
So we have
If
three
you don't buy
authors.
any books, buy them here if
We
you
have-
have them physically, because if you buy them from Amazon, it's taken away from the
They get a
author.
cut.
Yeah, and you get to say on the
Should be. Oh, okay, I will. Yeah, okay.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up with the last three authors. So as they come up, just be mindful that we're still trying to stick in the 15-minute, we're a little over right now. So we're trying to stick in that 15-minute time slot. Yeah, do you have the ability to take payment for your books? How much is it? Okay. How much are your books? I want to make sure that we, or can we buy them? But you said, so you want us to go?
Next target earth is 48 hours. Bunch of those. So, anything, so.
Yeah, we don't have any cash. We're gonna figure out a way, to.
Yolanda, I need you to put it.
If you can accept payment though, we like to do that. But yeah, we'll be in touch. Well, I can go on Amazon and do the purchase of the card, or if I do a check, it's gonna be through Columbia. Southern, I have to do a couple requests, and it'll come in the mail, so it'll take forever. But if that's your preference, I can absolutely. So, okay, so I'll be on contact and I'll just ask you to send me an invoice. Just pay my books are this.
You can take them today, that's fine.
Okay, awesome. Well, let me know which ones to.
Yeah.
It's the, okay, the next target. I want next target because that's the one we talked about. Gotta love that, yes. So if somebody doesn't take that, we'll find out.
Great job.
Yo, there's still food back there, so please go take.
It's like, man, he said. It's like, listen, like, the thing is, we gotta win into this kind of cool.
I'm just sorry, my hands naturally move.
Yeah, it's like, I'm listening, I'm like, oh.
You give me a chair.
I'm like, okay, yeah,
See,
she's
I feel like I need to be in the mirror.
Yeah, I'll come by.
Yeah, we're gonna do entrepreneurs next time.
Okay, yes.
I make
And then the next time, we do like veterans, like, you know, major movers in the DMV area, like this guy right here, who sits on the traffic planning committee, and, you know, and all of that stuff.
Is Mataya ready? Oh, we're not charging, I'm sorry. It's charging.
No.
Yes.
We need to have those guys sitting here. That is about, what, 40 years.
Once they start asking that question, you know you're I know I got that.
What else you got coming up? Are you going to APSA? I am. I won't be able to do that all day. I'm going to be there. Okay. I'll be there.
This is on my last, because I'm taking a trip.
Girl, I'm telling you, please don't. That is my biggest piece of advice. Do not go directly into it. You will hate life. I did it, and I was like, why am I working? So yeah, I had to let that go. Is this your seat, John?
No. I was just trying to know where to put my
You good? Oh, well, that's the best. It's gonna be with you. Yeah, that's what's gonna be.
I mean, they didn't get rid of it.
Okay.
Everybody already know that.
I got it already. I'm gonna have to pay that. I got cash. You got cash? Okay. I got cash too though, but I'm saying I gotta pay. I got cash. This our last one. I got cash out.
They don't have that cap. They done built $100 million,
Yeah, we did that this weekend, so we had.
Does she have a payment made?
I can do Zelle too.
Yeah, right, the kids, all that stuff. Why, so yeah, you gotta get back up here.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Just hold things that
But you really want it about your life. That's what you're doing now.
I work fully every day, but I ain't trying to.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're asking.
But I used to live.
Like you go to the events coming up. I feel like I haven't been every day. I do. I haven't been every day.
Well, I had some good friends that was at 57. I used to go like that.
Going to things.
Yeah.
Get out there. Just trying to get around, you know. And then, what is your
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm zooming all y'all. I know that. Y'all out of my league. I'm used to stay at home.
Oh, I won't tell you what I thought I heard. I thought I heard an Air Force cheer, and I was like,
Oh, well, you know what? I was kind of, I grew up in,
40.
yeah, that's all like, we're outside. Yeah.
I made that dress. I'll keep up with that.
That's hilarious.
It's super.
You always go with the low number. There's a method to it.
Well, I haven't told anybody, actually.
checking with Tony and Atlanta. I had a meeting with the guy in Atlanta yesterday. Yeah, I just need to connect them. Today and tomorrow, I know I'm speaking out today. Tomorrow, I'm out, but I'm home all week next week. So we'll be able to, yeah, I think Tony just already.
Oh, okay, but he's still.
No, he's still in the program. We just gotta keep on.
So do I need to?
We get 2 more locations, right? Yeah, we might do this summer too late. No, for. Okay, so I'm going to do.
No, one. Yours 20.
Mataya, right?
Y'all selling? Yeah. Money. Spending money. Oh, I gotta get
Is this where she's sitting?
If not, after.
So maybe, so let me plan.
Oh, let's talk. She wanted you to sign in the green jacket. Okay.
We can make that happen. I support that.
And how much is it?
Oh, man, get them cat. Oh, I thought you had carrots. I thought you was doing healthy stuff.
Yeah, right.
I thought those.
And I was always like, right, but I couldn't.
So did we do a wash?
And I think we lived on the same street.
I gotta get a picture of you, fanning with that fan.
It feels good too.
That's great. That's great. I was about to say, what day y'all was dating?
How you want to do it?
We were in a place.
Should I fan it? Thank you. That's right. That's pretty. So we got Curly Red. So who left? We got you. That's it. We got Carmen. Carmen. That's it. And the gentleman right there. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. He was doing video. She didn't say Ken.
Dude, I know. He was like this. So we went to high school. So he,
Never hear that.
You saw the friend at works for me.
yeah.
Because I was like, I was gonna say that. Yes. And we keep running into each other. Yes.
That's crazy.
So I was like, at this point,
And you said that, I was like, Huntsville.
yeah.
All right, let's go.
They're getting ready.
Where's D? We go capture D.
All right, D, they're getting ready. Get ready to get my video going. So, oh, where you go? Here, remind you. You do it online?
Well, you gotta do his online.
Yeah, oh. Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you.
One more time, sorry guys.
No, she was doing it.
I know it's your name, I know it's your name, Mataya. I said, how many people?
All the time.
She's like, no, it's not, I know.
They do it all the time.
Mike?
Get these birds out of the way.
Well, with, like for me, like I do. No, I gave it to him.
So who is, Wanda?
Do you still have a mic on?
I sure do.
Y'all just done recorded everything.
Is this thing, I don't see a light on it.
Hold on.
So just for full disclaimer, transparency, I talk all the time, running my mouth.
Just in 15
And just like here, I don't know what is going on with me.
It's not long, it's not long. You're gonna be fine.
started.
I gotta,
186 fighter wing.
187.
That's why. Look, you know I got about 2 good hours in my brain.
Look at me.
I am on. I'm like, Suzanne know, like, look, we just like you got about an hour with me.
You listen, he is doing great. I am so proud of you right now.
That attention span.
Listen,
That attention span
he's
is
staying on task.
That mine is at the city.
Look out here. I'm proud of him.
Don't encourage him, I need him focused. Because he got a little bit more work to do. He got
Hold on a
Yeah.
second, one more.
All right, we're getting there. All right.
I just write.
Okay. You're on. Yep.
Hello and welcome to the Military Author Takeover. Sorry, hold on.
Some water.
Pause.
That means something else.
It does.
Okay.
worse than me.
Hello, welcome to the Military Author Takeover, sponsored by Columbia Southern University at the beautiful Veterans Growing America, VGA in Virginia. Stop by, please check out VGA for the entrepreneurs that are here. That's all associated with the military connected community. We're so honored to host this first Military Authors Takeover with my co-host here, Dee Mosley. We're both with Columbia Southern University, and we are honored to be here with Mataya Wright-Williams. Man, what an opportunity. Before we let her give her flowers and introduce herself, I tell you, I'm so proud of her. We've met over the last couple of years. She is active, right now, and she's at the 187th wing in Montgomery, Alabama, as the command chief, historic Red Tails wing. So I just wanted to shout that out real quick. So Mataya, we are so honored to have you here. So honored that when we saw your email pop up into this awesome opportunity, I was so excited. I'm like, hey, first of all, I would have came to you for this opportunity, but you're joining us here in Virginia just says a lot, and we're so honored to have you. So as we get started, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, just let the audience know who you are, and we'll go from there.
Before I do, thank you both for putting this on. This is a great opportunity. The authors before me have been phenomenal. It's just been amazing. So thank you guys for doing this. And a little bit about me, I am from Montgomery, Alabama, born and raised. I'm a wife and a mom and an awesome sister. And I said that because my sister is here joining me in the audience. And I have a nonprofit called Girl Pals, and it's just really to uplift and give back to our underserved girls in our neighborhood and community. So we do a lot of work with that. So I'm most proud of that, being the founder of it, and just seeing the work that we do behind the scenes. And that's just pretty much about me, and still serving currently.
Awesome, thank you. And I know you gave me, the humility. I always honor that with you. And you said that's a little bit about me, but it's just so much more. I tell you, Google or chat this woman, an amazing thing she's doing down in Montgomery, the historic things that she's doing down there to bring in, just the world's greatest fighter into that fighter wing and painting it with the red tail, which is part of all of our legacy as veteran community, regardless of what branch you served in. So tonight we want to get into Wounded Warrior with Invisible Scars, your book, which is something that can resonate in any community, veteran, outside the veteran. It's something that's a personal interest of mine, and I'm just excited to kind of talk to you about this. But, we talk about, the book being a memoir chronicling the author's upbringing, military service, family trauma, and the visible emotional scars that accompany service while emphasizing resilience, faith, and healing. Man, so many powerful words in there. But I tell you, when I circle things on my card all the time, and what jumps out, and the word healing jumps out at me. So many things in there, but I'm glad you emphasized that part at the end about it's all about peace. So as we dive into that, why you said you're active, you are busy, you're a historic wing, you have a nonprofit, you have about 40,000 other things going on. Why at this point did you think it was so critical for you to write this book?
I'm glad you asked that question. Like right now is the time. And for years I quietly held in all of the scars and all the things that I dealt with. And then over the time, through mission, we've been taught that, we've been trained, don't stop, don't quit, keep going, and you cannot look like what you're going through. And at the levels that we've been blessed to ascend to, we can't always look like how we feel. And it's just the mask. So, now that I'm getting close to retirement, reflection has really taken its course. And in that reflection, I've come with a sense of responsibility too, that I can't just talk about it, I gotta be about it. And if I'm gonna be about it, that means showing those invisible things that people don't get to see every day about Mataya or Chief, as they would say, now that I'm still serving. And I just wanted to connect with those areas that I'm telling to do the right thing about seeking help. I gotta do it also. And in order to get people to trust the process or the system, they gotta see you do it first. So I can't ask people to do things that I'm not doing. And I had some stuff that I needed to work through. And I could not be my whole healthy self to tell them to be healthy if I was unhealthy.
I appreciate that. And, when I thought about, we were talking about you coming here and now, being on the couch with us, everybody's journey is their journey. And when they decide to do this or not is their journey, part of their journey. But you decided to do this while you were still in uniform. I think is really something we should know. And, the people who are serving with you are getting a chance to see Mataya and their chief and their leader before you take that uniform off. So I think, what was that decision? How would that decision come into that decision and go, I know where I'm at today, but I'm still gonna do it?
Transparency. And that came from the healing piece. When you talked about I put it at the end, it had to be at the end because if it wasn't done then it wasn't gonna happen. And I wanted to be my whole healthy self, leading the formation that I'm telling to be healthy. And it was time. And in order to do that, I needed to do the work.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So so we talk about invisible scars, and I think that meaning can be something different different people. So what does invisible scars mean to you as the author and the person who put this message out?
It was the sexual harassment that I dealt with, sexual assault. It was having the trauma, grief, the loss of my mother, different circumstances and situations where sometimes being left out, looked over, picked on to be picked out, just different things that was a whole package of a lot of things that I had to work through. Family trauma, family drama, that stuff leaves scars. And then also in the service, in the formation, military, from our wingmen, our battle buddies, the people that have sworn to be our side by side, sometimes inflict the most pain. And that leaves a lot of invisible scars too.
We talk about that history of you being, where you're at today, and full circle. And a lot of us who have joined, never get the opportunity to serve in the city we were born in, especially at the end of our career. And I think there's something uniquely special about that. So how does your upbringing prepare you for who you are today, being a child of Montgomery, Alabama, and being one of the most visible faces in Montgomery, Alabama in that uniform and out? So how did your upbringing prepare you for all of those things and the journey that you're on today?
So my start was in one of the best projects Montgomery, Alabama have to offer, and that's Victor Tulane Court. And born and raised in the project, it taught me a lot of values that I grew up in. I don't think any suburban area could have taught me. I needed to be where I was with the people that I was with to learn the things that I learned. And it just really the fact of having the determination skills, seeing my mother work so hard and always making sure that she was visible for us to be not just a victim of her circumstance. She worked every day and we ate every day. I cannot remember a time where our lights we were getting put out. We had what we needed even though we were in the projects. My mom made our project apartment feel like our house, which was our home. So with that being said, the resiliency that I was forced to learn early and just working through the things that I had to work through, it just was where we are now.
Okay. From the time you walked in, beautiful veteran grown American to say VGA, from the time you walked in here, first thing you did is introduce me to your sister, right? And I think every time I see you or see something about you, you are always talking about a family, which we all can say is a village, right? And so I know you were just talking about how you literally talk more about your sister than you talk about you. You always do that, and I think that shows about who you are. So what role you talk about where you grew up in Montgomery, which I had the honor of serving twice in Montgomery. My first military base ever at 19 years old, Montgomery, Alabama. My last military base at 43 years old. So my bookends are Montgomery, Alabama. So I feel like I'm almost like an adjacent native son of Montgomery. But what role did that village play? You talk about your mother, you talk about your sister, you talk about your family. You're always connected to that some kind of way. So what did that village play in the role of who you are?
I think that village let me know right off who I was. Like everything that happened around us, it could have happened to me, but I had the village that protected me. You know, they were honest with me. They told me if you do this, this is gonna happen. You know, my parents were stricter than others, so they had rules. I had to follow those rules because I was not grown. And I had older sisters and brothers, which kind of became their guide. With them being there, going through the things that they went through, they had those barriers up that their baby sister was able to like go through life a little bit safer. It was easier. So a lot of things that they provided for me was awesome. The mentors that I had, a lot of my military leaders were great mentors to me. I've had coaches, I've had a lot of mentorships throughout my relationship with my peers, you know, bouncing different things off. So that village is what I consider like my family.
Awesome, yeah. And we'll pivot back into the book, and I turn it over to my co-host here, Dee. But veterans have a lot of misconceptions. You talk about physical wounds, scars, and different things, and I think earlier today we heard the founder here, Donnell, talk about why they started this facility, VGA, and the messaging of what veterans are, and how he was on a journey to change that. So what do you think are some of the misconceptions that exist about veterans in this space about how we heal, how we view our trauma, how we are uniquely, exposed to different things so early and often? How do we talk about that outside and, the 99% that don't serve? How do we talk about that? So what are some of those misconceptions you think society sees?
I think they think we're all, one veteran is all veterans. And even though we've served, we all have served in different capacities. So our traumas are different. The things that we've experienced are different. Every veteran don't experience the same thing. And what works for one vet may not work for another. And I think that if the community just have a little bit more compassion to try to understand the unique atrocities that veterans deal with, I think the veteran more apt to open up. I think the homelessness will probably combat itself. I think they will feel that people really care, so they will really seek out for help. We have now veterans, they steer away because we do feel like we're misunderstood. And, going to the battlefield is a different war than coming home, standing on the block in somebody's shoe. The shots sound different than just in the neighborhood and on the battlefield. So it's just a different learning how to connect with those veterans and learning how to truly connect with us.
I think that was so powerful. You said every veteran's journey is different. I mean, and that's so, and we were talking earlier, like my dad's a Vietnam vet, but he served 2 years. And 2 years in Vietnam and 4 years in the Marine Corps. My uncle did 4 years in the Army, Vietnam vet, but my uncle will wear a Vietnam hat, my dad won't. Everybody's journey is different of why. They both served in combat front units, they both were in 2 different services, but one will identify as a veteran and one will not. But, we have to understand that everybody's journey is different, and you have to talk to them different, because I've heard people talk to my dad, why don't you recognize yourself as, that's not the entry point to a story, so.
Yeah, and with all the things that you have been through, and the things that you know, put in the book, very simple question for you. What has helped you? Because, I mean, that is important, you know, and is that something you're still going through, or what has really helped you?
So the full transparent scope of all of this is faith. Having to like get back to the bedrock of like who I truly belong to, because I don't belong to myself. And I was wallowing in my stuff because I carried it by myself. And the Father said, turn it over to me. Who are you to carry these burdens by yourself? I'm here. And I had to reset and regroup and refocus. And if I'm truly a believer, I had to really believe. And I gave it to him. And I cried out and I asked, like, which direction do I need to go in the meaningful relationships that he allowed me to grow into. I had people that was reaching out that I hadn't spoken to in forever, or new connections, but they were the right people at the right time. And being able to have safe spaces to talk about those things, being able to call my sisters and tell them, like, I'm not having a good day today, or them feeling that their baby sister isn't okay, and like, hey, Taya, how are you? And me being open enough and honest enough to say, hey, I'm just not doing good. And my husband and my son being there to motivate me through all of that, to be supportive and understanding. So that was really what I did. So that's how I get to the healing, because and today I'm still in counseling. I still do the work. I do go to support groups. I'm a speaker too in certain groups, because one way to heal about it is to talk about it. And then if I want you to truly see the process work, then I have to be the walking testament of that. So I can't talk about the therapy and then don't have a story to talk about the therapy. So I'm still doing my work now.
And that's a perfect segue into when readers buy this book. What do you hope that they do once they finish reading it? Because so many times, you know, we read a book, we go to a conference, we, you know, take all these wonderful notes, and, you know, we fist pump individuals, you know, all the way, and then they don't do anything with the information. So what are you hoping that they do when they buy this book?
I hope that the reflection gets us back to the compassion compass. I think I'm asking that the empathy side take over a little bit so people can empathize and truly know that at any moment we're one step away from trauma. All of us have issues that we just handle differently, but all of us suffer with something. And that know that everybody is battling something every day. Every person we meet and encounter, they're dealing with something. And I just hope the human side of life to know that we are better together. We live as we rise, and we rise as we live. And if we talk about community, we can't talk about it, we gotta be about it. And community meaning putting your money where your mouth is, being where you're supposed to be, showing up on time, and if I say that I got your back, I need to have your back. And when you call me, I can't be about what I'm doing to come help a brother or sister in need if I'm talking about that. And I just think putting the trust back into the community, putting the empathy back into the community, putting the voices back into the community is what is gonna help us get back together.
Well said, right? Well said. And so before you tell us where we can find your book and where we can connect with you, I want to read a quote, and I just want you to finish it. It says, they say it takes a village to raise a child. My village
Showed up and showed out. They truly
Yes.
protected me. I am who I am today because of my village. I hope I'm a strong representation of my village. The village is just getting started because I am part of the village now, and I am taking this thing all the way to the top. So when I say I got you, sis, I got you. When I say I got you, brother, I got you.
Where can we find you? Please tell us how we can buy your book and where we can find you if we want to connect.
Okay, so the book is on Amazon. I do have an email. It is girlpalsnpo@gmail.com, and you can also use my Mataya Williams @gmail.com. Also, we do have a web page, but it's under construction, so I don't want to give that out. But you guys can reach me on LinkedIn, also at Mataya Williams, and on Facebook, Mataya Wright-Williams.
All right, well, we're gonna buy your book, so, and we encourage everyone to buy this book. Ladies and gentlemen, Mataya Williams.
Look at
Y'all
that.
made that so
Look at that.
I knew you was from Alabama.
Alabama. I'm from Huntsville. Come on to come. I knew that's my cousin. I knew it.
My cousin. 'Cause y'all know people from Alabama.
I know who he is.
That's my cousin.
You said that's my cousin.
No, for real, because that's what we do.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah, everybody where I'm from is
Huntsville, because that's how she said it.
Did I say Huntsville?
No, we say Huntsville. Yeah, she said it right.
He tried it. Look, he just bothered me now because I'm.
Oh, you from California?
Listen, from California.
Yeah.
Now she like, I'm good now.
What's your what is your social?
Or visa, or. Let me know what you like.
I'm gonna have to hold on a second.
That's good. No, I am like, this is like, I have no idea how I love this here. Like, I just say this is because I just feel like sometimes.
Oh, child, is this live? My head been there.
The little red button is there. It says.
All right, she's good.
All right, welcome all to the CSU-sponsored Military Author Takeover. We are right here in Virginia at Veterans Growing America. You got to come on by here, make sure that you show some love to VGA. But we have with us today Miss Carmen Jenkins. Everybody, please give her a round of applause. We are excited to talk to you about your book. And so our next feature author, she reminds readers that real transformation starts with honesty, healing, and the courage to live as your and you know, that strikes a chord for me. So thank you so much for joining us today. Yes, indeed. Before we get into any questions, though, tell the viewers, who is Carmen?
I always start off by saying I'm still just a little girl from Cleveland, Ohio, who has grown up and has had the opportunity to travel. I left home at the ripe age of 17, very naive. As most teenagers, thought I knew everything, but really didn't know a whole lot of anything. And joined the Army.
Cool.
I was in the delayed entry program, and so I joined the Army a year before graduating from high school, and I could not wait to get out of Cleveland until I left Cleveland. Had a rude awakening, went through training, and thought, what have I gotten myself into? I had my first duty station was in Berlin, Germany, so it was one new culture after another, and but I stayed for 28 years, so it wasn't too bad. I was 9.5 years enlisted, and then I went back home to school and went through ROTC, and then retired in 2006 as a major.
Congratulations, that's good stuff. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you. Now, your book is entitled Be True to You. Be True to You. So what inspired you to write Be True to You? There you were. On a beautiful day. And what happened?
Right, sun was shining.
Birds were chirping.
Prosecco was happy.
Not even. No, it really is a culmination of everything that I learned and experienced up until the point when I wrote the book, which was last summer. I grew up in a family, as most families, that had its good and bad aspects. The bad aspects was I experienced a lot of trauma, so there were a lot of things that I learned that I should not have learned. But the good aspects were I grew up in a family that was primarily matriarchal. And so the women in my family were very much focused on taking care of business. And so I learned at an early age about planning for the future and having your finances, having all those documents that you need to have for the rest of your life, and getting an education. And they wanted to make sure, as best they could, because a lot of opportunities they did not have, that the future generations coming would be able to have the experience of opportunities if they so desired. And so, me being me, wanted to have all of those experiences. And as I was able to travel and be in the military, I started off in the medical field and ended up being a social worker. And so I learned a lot about people and families, and just really began to get a little disheartened. Not just one culture, but many cultures just did not prepare for the future. And we're just really trying to make
make it day to day, looking really good on the outside, but having their personal affairs not really in place. And so when I left the military, which was in 2006, that's when I retired, and then I had the opportunity to work for the federal government as well. But I found that it really didn't matter where people were in life, how successful they were, how much education they had, male or female, there were still a lot of things that people had not planned and prepared for. And so I really thought that it would really be good if they just kind of had something that they could pick up and just kind of take a assessment, survey of their life to see where they really are. So it was all up here for many years. When I left the military, and I'm still working for the federal government as a social worker, I retired in 2017 from the federal government, so I became a life coach. Same issues, but I found them more so with the younger generation. And so I really said, we really need to be able to get a handle on some things. We don't need all these GoFundMes, and we don't need all these things that after the fact. We really need to plan and prepare and have our holistic life healthy. And so I finally just kind of sat down last summer and just started putting some pen to paper. But then wanted to also have the aspect of the book for those that have a spiritual or Christian foundation, for those that want to add that as well. So I put some scripture references in the back of the book, so that people would be able to blend the two if that's what they desire to do. But I'm finding that it has brought out a voice for people that may not have been really verbal about where they really are and been honest about it. Sometimes we portray certain things on social media and we look like we're living large, but we're really not. And so the feedback that I've got is that, this has really kind of helped me take a pause, take a really good look at my life, and there's really some things that I have to be honest that I really have not gotten together.
And that's such a great segue into my next question as I'm listening to you go through why you wrote Be True to You. Why do you think that being authentic or authenticity is so difficult for some people?
It's been before COVID. I think we've had an invisible mask that many of us have worn for a lot of our lives. But since COVID, many of us have taken off the visible mask, but we're still portraying lives that really are not authentic. There's a thing that people say, imposter syndrome. But I really believe that we are living the lives that we're most comfortable with living, and the aspects of our lives, whether they're healed, unhealed, but we tend to gravitate to what's easier, what we're comfortable with, and that's the road that we tend to drift down, or the road that we tend to walk down. But those areas that we're not too comfortable with are the ones we kind of want to push back, and we don't always want other people to know about them. And so, again, with AI and social media, it's easier to kind of create the life that you want others to believe that you're living, and to not really deal with the life you really have.
That you said a whole word there. So then what role do you think healing takes in this process?
It's essential.
Becoming your true self.
I think earlier someone mentioned identity. You have to really know who you are. That's the first step. And for some, including myself, some discover that earlier in life than others. And some of us, it takes longer to find out who we really are. And sometimes we don't understand who we really are because we've been trying to be everything that everyone says we should be. And so sometimes you have to go back to where that first began. Like, why am I trying to drive so? Why am I so driven? Why do I feel like I need to have and always have, and that's not enough for me? What's at the root? I'm a person that believes in let's dig up those roots and find out where things began, so that you don't keep revisiting the same things. Even when it comes to our spending, there's a reason why we do what we do with our money, or why we don't. But until we really understand why, then we can't heal those areas.
So in talking about those healed areas, I want to go a little deeper here. And so tell me then, how do readers begin to rebuild after something painful, after a tragedy, some type of painful experience? How do they rebuild?
Yeah, it's identifying don't get to the layer where the wound has been impacted, cover that up, then the healing is really not taking place. And so you have to uncover, discover, and be open and honest and vulnerable, sometimes even with ourselves, about what's really hidden under the surface.
That's painful in itself to just, do that unpeeling. Having the ability to do that and then be ready to face it head on. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. So you've written something, Carmen, that I think anyone in any walk of life can pick up. When you look at your body of work, what do you hope people release? Not so that's the difference, right? So what do you hope people release while reading this book? What do you think is that emotional release that you would want to visualize people achieving while they're reading your book?
Yeah, that's good. That we don't all have it together. None of us do, from our president on down. We all have areas of our lives that need improvement. And so if we start with that, and as you said, releasing, sometimes it's releasing the hopes of what has not yet taken place. Some us may have wanted to be a millionaire, and maybe you're not there yet. Still doesn't mean it's not attainable, but what is it yet going to take for you to get there? Some people want to be married, some people don't want to be married, some people want to have children, some people don't want to have children. So when you're able to be honest with yourself first and live your life as close to the middle of that honesty as you can, then I think the release will come.
I like that. Yeah. So in writing this book, every author always talks about, either the time that they had to write this book, the initial time, like what was that point? We talked about that. So out of all of this time, and I'm sure you look back at, you wrote a book and then you went back and went, man, some of this is gonna make it, some of this is not. I want to edit this. But what chapter in your finished book did you feel most personal about? Like what chapter and then what part of the book were you when this is the heartbeat of my book?
Yeah, it's chapter 7, Living in Alignment. And I tried to have the titles be applicable for anyone. My heart and passion is for women, and so I started with it being for women, but it's really for men too, even for middle school on up, because we all need to look at the holistic part of our lives and see where we are. But the living in alignment really spoke to me specifically because it took me a while to really get there. I spent a lot of years and a lot of time doing and being what I thought I was supposed to do and be.
Oh, yeah.
And not really being me.
Well, I love that. I love those.
Another t-shirt.
I love those notes. I love those notes in there. You're right. We all have.
And
right?
so once I was able to just kind of say, you know what, it's time. It's time to be who you really are and be comfortable and confident with who you are. Not the title, not the label, because there were a lot of those. And so that really spoke to me specifically.
Yeah. So I'll just end with a quick. So what does that mean to you today? What does being true to yourself look like today for you?
Being unapologetically Carmen.
Oh, that's
I do what I do, say what I say, and keep it moving.
So I appreciate you. This is amazing, body work. And I would tell you to look at that camera and tell them where can they find you, where can they look, and where can they call you to get some of this amazing continuation of advice and coaching or whatever it is that can offer someone just a brighter light in their life.
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. My name is spelled different. It's Karmin. So there aren't too many of those. If you type in Carmen Jenkins, I'll pop up somewhere. I have a website. It's www.ih4al.com. My phone number is 240-415-8218. It's not my personal number.
You didn't follow my track.
That's my business phone. Yeah.
So no, I appreciate it, Dee.
And the book's available on Amazon.
Awesome.
On Amazon. Well, Well, we thank you. Just real quick, one quote that I just want you to finish, and then we're gonna be done here. You were never meant to live disconnected from who you are. What does that mean to you? Like, what, tell us about that as we close out your segment.
Because we all have a purpose and an identity, knowing who you are is the key to unlocking that. So when you know who you are, you can live authentically in that space.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Carmen Jenkins.
Man, I'm gonna be reading, I'm gonna be getting my life together with all that stuff.
Carmen, you need to take the mic.
Okay.
Carmen. Carmen. Yes, that's it.
Morman? Oh, okay.
He's got his book is right here.
Yeah, like, give me the book, I want to do that.
And then please nobody leave. I wanna take a group photo in front of our sign. I know we missed some of our
We're
officers.
missing some of them. You gonna have
Some of them had to leave.
Yeah, should've think that this morning, then.
I know. Can't think of everything.
We'll put in some, everybody, to make it look.
AI, the way AI works.
Yeah, we'll put them all in off their thing. This is right here.
I am D again. Here's your microphone.
Is that Ken?
Pop book author. I love it.
I still want Barbie, okay?
Oh, yes, sir. So we're freestyling this, not that we got freestyling everything.
It's my middle name.
That's like one of my little entrepreneurship dreams, to own a coffee house and a cigar bar and a bourbon bar. So it's not that.
I got you.
And do you host the events there as well?
Oh, yeah. I do. We use coffee and all of the arts.
That's what BGA started.
I started at his coffee. Oh.
Yeah, come on through.
Hello, and welcome to the Military Authors Takeover at the beautiful Veterans Grown America here in Virginia. Stop by, check out all the veteran entrepreneurs and all the great. This event is sponsored by Columbia Southern University. I'm Todd Simmons, this is Dee Mosley, and we are honored to have an amazing local business owner, entrepreneurial, author, and all-around great community leader here. We had Ken Morman here. I'm sorry, Ken. We have Ken Morman here, and man, what an amazing opportunity to talk to you today. Like I told you a little bit earlier, we'll clap it up for you. Yeah, a little bit earlier, a coffee house is something. Surrounding coffee house that you own, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So I know we're here talking about your book, but man, I'm just such a fan of entrepreneurship that I think ties into your book. But we're talking about your book, On the Other Side of My Dream, which I think is a super strong title.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, so as we thought about, your book and entering your book, which I have a copy here for everyone to kind of see the title here. We wanted to give you an opportunity first to introduce yourself, get into a few questions about, the book, and then just pivot from there and see how we can get 40 million people
Yes.
involved in your journey and your story. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ken.
All right, well, first of all, thank you for having me here
Yeah.
today. I'm just honored. Hey, I'm from Bristol, Pennsylvania, which
Okay.
is right outside of North Philly. So I'm here. Hey, Army vet.
Who?
Army vet. Did a little time in there, and I'm the founder, as you talked about it, of the award-winning Girani Coffee House. Award-winning.
I'm sorry.
And as entrepreneurs, as we've been blessed and start winning awards, for just being recognized for something that was a crazy thought, you learn to say that out of your mouth, award-winning, because everyone else does, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, a long story short, and we're gonna talk a little bit about it. The number one thing that people would say when they would come into a coffee shop is, how did you do this? And so I wrote a book about it because I was telling someone here earlier, you wouldn't believe, self included, how many people have a vision or a dream to open up a coffee house. I didn't drink coffee when I started this, so we've been open 10 years, so I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's 10 years in business is not a small feat.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. We're talking about on the other side of my dream. In the book, you talk about it's a powerful story of vision, resilience, entrepreneurship, and faith. All of those things that embody, who you are and your character as a person. 10 years into entrepreneurship, you had a vision, which I would like you to incorporate the vision for the coffee. You don't drink coffee. But what was that moment where you were like, on top of everything else, I'm gonna write this book and I'm gonna, make a blueprint for this thing about who I am and how I want to life.
Yeah, with everything in the way the coffee shop came about was I was working in the federal government, got off the train, and I heard a voice say, I need you to open up a coffee house right over there. I'm driving, it was nuts, and so I shook it off, I kept driving. I need you to open up a coffee house right over there, so I pulled to the side of the road. Then I heard it again, open up a coffee house. I did not drink coffee at the time. I love coffee now. But what I like to share with others when I speak, I'm sharing with you guys and the audience. On the count of 3, I want everyone to say your name. Don't say it out loud. Say your name on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That is the voice that said, I need you to open a coffee house. It was confident. It was sure. It was, more importantly, it had peace with it. Even though I didn't know how to do a coffee house at the time. So, knowing all of that and some of the other trials, I wanted to encourage entrepreneurs to follow their dreams. I'm just a little guy from Bristol, Pennsylvania, and now I'm sitting in a coffee shop.
You're not only sitting in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
You're sitting in an award-winning
See how contagious it gets?
that has been open for 10 years.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur, I know that, any business that's been around 10 years, it doesn't happen because you just have no passion in it.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about, the process of the book. Like when you told us about how it came about and you wanted to kind of share your story, your journey. What were some of the strongest indicators that, people were receiving your work?
As far as the writing the book or the coffee shop?
No, both. The book,
Okay.
the book and just you're receiving everything
Oh,
that
yes.
you recall. The coffee shop
Yes.
came first, the book now,
Yeah.
what were some of the indicators that, man, that voice was true?
Oh.
Like this is what my purpose is.
Yes, definitely. And I share with entrepreneurs, when you get to the point when you realize your dream is connected to other people's dreams, you have to do it. It's a must. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the indicators. When I seen and people start coming in the coffee shop and saying, I saw this. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I really believe that, God gives visions and dreams to everyone. If you do it. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't, it's just gonna bounce. His mission has to get out, and with that said, it's a hub for entrepreneurs, creators, and community. And the things that I've saw in the first 3-4 years, I could not deny, like, I have to get this word out. Because I'm sure others are experiencing this. We might just be the fear might be too great for them to move forward.
Yeah, and you talk a little bit about, how you incorporate, moving through grief.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about how that has been a part of this journey and strengthened you.
Oh my God. So, one thing I like to share is that if you're an entrepreneur, your vision or dream don't care about anything in your life. They don't care what's going on, you have the money or not. With that said, we were building out this coffee shop, and community involvement was this big old thing. I get a call, long story short, my mom passed. So I'm like, how in the world am I gonna bury my mom and go back? And all these people that believed in my dream, The next year, we're open. It's amazing. Everybody loved it. The next year, on Christmas night, all this community that needed this space, you know. So I knew like, okay, I can't let it just be for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I kept moving forward.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So Jirani Coffee House, so what's in the name?
Jirani in Swahili means neighborhood. So neighborhood coffee. 2012, I went on a missions trip with my church to Ghana. And when I got there, when I came back, you know, the thing was put on my spirit was just dream big. Tell everybody dream big. And that's what I write in the book. I'm telling you, dream big. But not only dream big, then do what you see. Don't just dream it. After that, execute that. Figure out how to do that.
I love you, so you say tell people to dream big. I know a lot of us talking little quotes and different things, and like it's lessons. I call them life lessons and stuff. So what are some of the favorite? If I was to ask, I know a lot of people in here know you. I know that if I was to walk around to, everyone who's known you for 10 years, and say if you was to give me one quote that Ken is like, if you would say, if I would say Ken Moran, and what would you say back? What would let's put him on the spot. What would John L say about you if I were to go up and say Ken Moran?
That's a good question.
Ken Morman. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And I say so many.
So give us your top 3 lists of things that if you had 3 billboards going down I-95, what will you want those 3 billboards to say?
Oh, wow.
And signed by your name.
Oh, wow. One is definitely dream big.
Yeah.
The other one is, what do you need? Yeah, we'll come back to that. I knew that would hit you. And I always talk about, in the realm of area of entrepreneurship, how's your team? How big is your team? Do you have a team? So I talk about that a lot.
All right. Let's go back to the middle one. You said you wanted to go back.
Oh yeah, as I learned along this journey is that, and I try to share. I meet with people. People say, "Hey, can we meet?" I finally meet with them, and the first thing I ask them, "Hey, what do you need?" 9 out of 10 of them will go like this. I said, "Don't ever be in a position where you can't answer that. Always have something, and just even if it's high level. Okay, this is what I need. Hey, I got one coffee shop. I need about $5 million. You don't know who has what type of money, what type of support.
Might be like souls.
Yeah.
Be like,
Oh, yes. And I've seen it. And where that comes from is because I've learned over the years, coffee shops put everyone economically on the same level. The coffee costs the same, you all spend that. When the mayor comes in there once a week, you can talk to the mayor inside of Jirani. But if you gotta go to City Hall, you gotta make an appointment. So I realized there's millionaires here, there's people who didn't eat last night in here, and there's everything in between. What you need is in here. Someone in here has everything I need. I just need to be obedient and give it to them. So I just throw it out there.
Man, that is super powerful, man. And something we talked about, I know a lot of folks don't, powerful questions. Like, I did some years as a coach, and it's powerful questions. Like, you can ask a very powerful question to be transformative, right? To somebody's life. And I think that, I go back, it was so, all day we've been interviewing veterans, and I think at least 5 or 6 times it has been reflective to my life. And I think, your question of what do you need, at 19 years old in Montgomery, Alabama, that was the most powerful question that was asked for me at the lowest point of my life. What do you need? And like you have to be prepared to receive that question, and you have to be prepared to act upon. If you're the person that you have to give something back to you. And one of the most transformational people in my life asked me, "What do I need?" And I told them, I need help. And that person gave me everything to live. So I wanted to give that question power, more power than it already has, and amplify that, because that's the first time outside of me saying that I've ever heard anybody use that as a powerful question. So that shows a lot about, you talk So if an entrepreneur came up to you tomorrow and said, I wanna open a coffee shop, what's your advice?
The first thing I would tell them is, well, I'm gonna tell you what was asked of me. So when I said, I went to a small local business center, there was this lady in there, and retired, but she's giving back. She said, I said, I got this freedom of coffee shop, blah, blah. She said, okay, are you prepared to spend all your 401k, all the money in your account, everything for this? And I was like, oh, thought about it. And as crazy as that seems at this time, I was like, yeah, I ain't crazy. And if I'm being honest, I spent all of my 401k. This is COVID now. All of the money. You know what I'm saying? And you hear these these stories about entrepreneurs now. They're probably huge and, billionaires. When they tell about their story about, I've been bankrupt 3 times. Thank God I haven't been bankrupt, thank God. But, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
You have to persevere through all of this. A very small percentage hit it right off the bat. But those that stick it out and get the right people, build the right teams and learn and maneuver, we can get it.
No, I appreciate that. That's sound advice.
Yes.
Because I know as an entrepreneur, you gotta be willing to, every time someone called me, I say, well, I'm headed to sell some plasma.
Yeah.
Every time there's a new invoice come, I'm like, let me Google the plasma station.
Yeah.
Because that's how it physically feels. It physically feels like like, so I get that. So, I appreciate that question. What would you tell someone to do an open coffee shop? What would you tell someone who's experienced very traumatic grief and they don't see a path out of it?
Oh, well. In hindsight, I realized for myself and probably many other entrepreneurs that it was the dream that I had to hold on to pull me through that time. So, in the middle of an amazing entrepreneur journey, it was great. I really wanted to give it all up, and just kind of figure out how do I manage my life, how do I get my younger kids, pull it through. But I needed something to hold on to bigger than myself. My dream was bigger than me at that time. And I held on to it, and it helped me believe not only in myself, God, but in people. That helped me pull me through. So hold on to that dream, even when you got nothing else. You got a dream, hold on to it.
And like you said, that dream was connected to other people. So it's important for you to consider that.
And you talked about in your book, coffee dream tragedy, which those first 2 questions, and then you talk about triumph. So what does that word mean to you, and how do you visualize triumph today in 2026?
Oh man, triumph, the fact that I am sitting here talking to you guys, and probably the time we all have is losing your child and losing your mom. I am such a winner right now. You know what I mean? But not only that, I win because there's so many other people that I need to share that are really struggling with it on levels that we can all fear. And I'm able to, thank God, have some kind of verbiage, some kind of, got my feet under me where I can talk to them through. And some people just tell me, thank you. I'm like, I don't even know you. And they just watching me push through. And they're holding on to that. So triumph is just getting beyond the things that you never think you can get beyond.
No, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I tell you, I haven't read the book yet, but this will be in my car when I go home.
Oh, please.
I won't be reading it while I'm driving on 95. But I can feel your energy, and being transparent with our audience. We weren't even supposed to interview you today. But I believe that everything happens for exactly the right reason at the right time, and nothing in our life is an accident. So I believe that you coming in this room, which until you sat on the couch, I didn't even know you were the person that was interviewing.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Literally, I was looking around like, who is Ken?
Yeah.
It's time for Ken to sit down. So I say that transparently because I feel like I'm better for meeting you. And just like any other authors today, I feel like I'm better for being here in this room today.
Yeah, me as well.
And but I appreciate you sharing your journey. I know what it's like to pour your heart out through lot of painful things on paper. And I would just close out with the question is, what kind of release did this book give you the day you published it?
Oh, wow. You know, it took me back to being in elementary school where I was in Title I. I was the kid that was like, all right, 1, 2, 3, come out, y'all go to reading class. And I'm like, what am I doing? Writing a book, right? That was the first, like, wow. You just never get a flash on your life. But the release, it was something by the time I got to the end of the book, you don't even realize how healed you are until you take time to see all your blessings. I'm like, wow. So that released me to seeing that allowed me to release some of the things I was still holding on to. You know, because writing, going through, you know, was so emotional. And some stuff, it took me a little longer, because, you know, and it's still, I still don't read the book that much now. Because, you know, I don't know where I'm at, or do I want to relive it? And then I think about a year ago, I read it again. I'm like, oh, I'm more healed than I thought. You know what I'm saying?
I
So,
appreciate it.
yeah.
That's a common thing. My first book, which is all about pouring out my life, almost 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, never read it.
I tell you, it's like,
Never read a book since it's been published.
I tell you.
I know what the manuscript says, but I've not had so you're giving me some courage to say you just read it, so I'm gonna read my own book now.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready.
Another reason, another full transparency, another reason I said I gotta read this, because I will be interviewed and people are asking me lines, chapter this, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah. I wrote that. This is before AI, y'all, so I wrote this. Ain't nothing wrong with using AI.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, I think I resonated, because I'm like, I've never read my own book.
I tell you.
Somebody tell me something, I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, I go back.
Yeah. But no, so Ken, tell us first and foremost where we can come get some of that delicious coffee, fellowship, tell the mayor about our sewage
Right there.
drainage. And well, where can we come fellowship? I don't live near here, but I would support you. I'll at least make a trip down here the next couple of weeks. I'll make D Drive also. We'll have our meeting there at your coffee shop.
Oh man, please.
He's very serious, so.
Oh yeah.
And also where we can find you.
And where can we find your
yeah.
book? So where can we come meet up and drag Suzanne out also and get some coffee?
Yes, come on.
And where can we buy the book?
All right, cool. Girani Coffee House is located in Old Town Manassas, 9425 West Street, Manassas, Virginia. If you go to the train station, you'll see us right on across the train track. Book is sold at mahoganybooks.com, amazon.com, and kenmorman.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Morman, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's a wrap, y'all.
That's a wrap.
Y'all, please come up so we can take a photo.
My whole back is sore.
I was sitting across angles.
I sat down.
Bring your books.
I'm like, these chairs, you're right. I'm like, these chairs are not built for veteran use.
Please bring your book.
Like a couple times I was like turning to the side. Like,
You were looking so comfortable, so I said, maybe.
no, this ain't, no, I'm trying to get it that, you know how you get it that one spot?
Yeah, just let it, yeah, 30 minutes.
Like, I've never been eating so
So what branch is your meeting?
Woo, man, I take you up 800 military.
Yeah, I'm just asking. It's not even.
We want them 800 vultures on the way home.
Every time I read my book, I want to write.
Take flight lessons.
There's a mistake there.
Because I did it on I read it, and it really made me feel like hyper. But I was like, oh, I'm not doing this.
I was reading China with Love, till I had health background.
Yes.
And I'm reading it, and I said,
Yes, bring your book. Yes.
what I wrote. And they had printed the changes from December, but they couldn't change for the
We got one person called come here on the weekends. That's what we
At
call
this
it.
point, if my book is wrong, it's wrong. It's wrong. I'm not gonna do it.
Believe it or not, I have the word published in the final edit.
Short people.
Oh, wow.
The authors. Miss Yolanda.
So let me get the short and say
Oh, can I get the mic? Reading right now. Yes. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're good. This is an exciting time.
You gotta show your book.
Yes, everybody show their book.
I know,
Look.
I'm just happy I got through it.
Beautiful. Yes. Y'all all got through.
They're gonna
Looking
start a
beautiful.
maker over here, giving
Yes.
everybody whatever.
That's a church song.
Yeah, he's like, stay right. You got a serious face on and everything.
Yes. Take a look. It's in a book. Oh, just can't help it.
That's why you said reading
Rainbow.
Reading rainbow.
Yes.
Faces here.
Beautiful.
Just a beautiful.
Come out with it. Okay. Hold on, let's read it.
If I can get, I wrote it. Okay, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
Y'all gotta hold the book up like this.
Yeah, don't put it in front of
Yes. This way, everyone.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yes, I'm taking a look because it's in a book.
Waist up, another flip flop.
I
took the heels off, please don't get.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Y'all got some photography.
Got it.
on here.
I'm doing a video.
Okay, we should be doing something.
For a minute, I'm like, you etch a sketch.
All right, now I'm doing a picture.
That's in the museum, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
All right, you guys.
Yeah, that's it.
This was good.
I used to have them
This
live.
is so good.
I had a lot of cousins, so we had like 5 or 6 etch a sketches.
So can I have D and Todd right here?
I left my work phone.
D, can I have you for a second?
I can put my number down though. Carmen.
Thank you.
So I wanna give
I wanna buy one of those. I seen it.
y'all got
Wait, don't do it yet. Somebody trying to call me. Somebody call me. I'm trying to get some video here. Don't do it. Stop.
unfurl.
Hey,
Send this to CSU.
ain't nobody but somebody trying to give me a loan.
Send this to CSU. Put it on their website. Get some VGA credit.
Okay. Were you gonna say something?
Yes. So, first of all, I want to thank Columbia Southern University, Dee and Todd for putting this together. It's in alignment with what we do about telling positive military-connected stories. And the thing that makes it even better is these are stories that you can purchase. These are stories that you can share. In fact, we went live on Instagram for everybody to consume your story over and over and over again. And you know, once things go out there on the Ethernet, you never know where it's gonna go. So we're actually live on YouTube right now, and it was live the entire time.
Oh, now you tell us.
Yeah. But I just want to thank you guys because this is an opportunity that you don't often get. And usually I have to sit up here and tell the story, to hear somebody else telling these stories. And then the icing on the cake was the last story, which is Mr. Ken Morman's story, which was the story. I just want to say it like this. If he didn't sit down with us and listen to my story and believe in what my dream, we wouldn't be standing in our dream right now. So y'all never know when you say, what do you need, right? What do you need? You need to know what you need. And you never know who's going to, I didn't actually, when I came to him and talked to him about our story, I wasn't actually coming to him for something. I was actually asking him for advice. I wasn't asking him for a space, but he provided a space, place, and opportunity. So, thank you, and thank you for telling these stories. We appreciate it.
We look forward to keeping the partnership with y'all.
It's the onions, it's the onions.
Keep it going.
You guys are amazing. This is like the powerhouse of all
And-
powerhouses. I am so inspired. Oh. You want your picture?
I do.
What is she doing?
Get in there.
This has been a good day. It's been a good day.
I did, but
And this is a story right here that brings it all to life.
1, 2, 3. Don't move. You should have came to me earlier about the video. Oh. But what you did? Okay. Both angles there.
Like you said, man.
They gonna be here Saturday.
I know you have been very steadfast. I don't think we are trying to protect your people. You've been steadfast what you want this to be. So whatever we wanted to do.
They better be here Saturday.
Definitely not take away from that.
Is that an iPhone? Is that, and you do?
Actually, one of our sponsors
Okay. See, I like this one. Give me about 5 minutes.
Can I make sure I have a copy of everybody's book? Hi, friend. Yep, I like that. Yes, ma'am. Do I have your book? Yolanda?
Okay. Yeah, I got here. Okay. And put them back behind the door.
You wanna?
We're coming. We're going to time.
great story, dude.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
40 years. Your sister came
No,
out.
Chad,
You said the gravity is
easy, but if we have somebody, your sister, then we can pay them. That's everybody, everybody makes it the point of what it needs to be. Everybody has it, is getting something out of it.
Yes.
Because it doesn't even have to be like, we can pay literally anybody who has a business. And even if it's like, we can do
Ken, you gotta bring the coffee next time.
I really thought about it. I was saying that we try to be very inclusive when we do events. Like Susan, veteran, we use her, she sent us an email, we're all in the same. We do something, we'll use you as the caterer, and the coffee and the pastries. We'll just go, so I wanna, something, I know it took us a year to get here, but something I really wanted to be a part of this is hopefully, because again, I can exist if I can't, the end goal is what's giving people education, but also giving people opportunity to sell their goods.
This is the hardest part.
This is the hardest part is that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, we'll be in touch.
For sure. I'll send
Lunch.
you the email. Yes, I will send you the email.
Okay. Probably won't be next week, but a week out.